Do you ever think of someone and feel that you don't deserve them? Or maybe feel that you're the luckiest person on earth to have someone in your life? This feeling that I am trying to tell you about is the feeling that I feel when I think about my father. I'm here to talk about my father and how he affected people around him throughout his life. I've shared more memories that I can count with my dad, and he has been a solid present throughout my life. While I'm up here talking to you guys, I am up here to talk to you about my father, his ups and downs, and the good and the bad. My goal is to give you a slight insight into my father's life and show you how great of a guy, father, and friend he was. I know everyone up here listening can agree that they love their family. I also know that when a loved one passes on, it seems like they're taken too quick. While I'm up here and talking about my father, there are three qualities that I want to go over and share with you guys. And those three are the love for his family, his humorous personality, and his strength. One of the qualities that my father had was his priority over his family over anything else. He would always want to be with wherever his family went, even if it wasn't somewhere that he wanted to go. He loved us more than anything in the world and constantly showed us that, whether it be in person or over in text. He always wanted to make time for his kids, wife, or parents. Wherever we went, he always wanted to be because we were his family. Even places he didn't want to go, but it didn't matter to him because it was wherever we were. He would always try to make it to things like my soccer games or my dance recitals, and whenever he couldn't make them, he always felt very badly. He tried his best to make any family event that he could go to, and sometimes he would even ask off work. Another thing that my dad always did was that he always showed that he cared. He would always tell me and my sister how much he loved, cared, and was proud of us. Even when I made a big mistake in my life, he would always try his very best to show me that everything would be all right, and that's something that I will always remember. Even if he was away at work, he would sometimes text me throughout the day and tell me how much he loved me or how much he was thinking about me, and it would always put a big smile on my face. Every day he went to work. He commuted an hour there and back, just to make sure that our family was living comfortably. He worked at a local college, and while he was helping his daughters and his wife at home, he was helping college students with their classes and allowing him to be someone that they could go to. My father would always try his absolute hardest over everything he could in our family. He cared about us so much. And it was always so important to me that he always tried his very best to make sure that he cared and showed that he cared so much. While he was a great father to my mom and sister, another quality of my dad that I will never forget was his happy and humorous personality. My father has always been known to be the funny guy his entire life. Not a single person that I knew didn't say a bad thing about him, not a single one. And also not a single person said that they thought that his jokes weren't funny. I always called him the funny guy in the room. My family has a wine club, actually, to give an example, and that's when all their friends would come together and they would just have a great night. They'd have some wine and some food, and he would just joke around. He'd want everyone to be super happy, just super relaxed, and he just wanted everyone to have a good laugh for that night. He always liked to joke with them, and one thing specifically was that he would imitate accents such as Forrest Gump and the Terminator. In any situation, he tried to bring light to it and bring joy to people's faces. He was always good at giving those dad jokes. I would say he was the epitome of giving dad jokes. And he would wear little things to make us laugh, such as an apron he had that he would grill with, and it said Grill Master. And that it was really funny whenever he wore that. Another joke that he would say to us is when, say, me and my sister are, like, joking about our hair or talking about it, he'd always be like, yeah, I always deal with that stuff. I love my hair all the time. And he would always talk about that. But the funny thing about it was that he was bald. He had no hair. And I smile thinking about that to this day. My father was the light of the room. That was That's one way to put it. He was the absolute light of the room. He was always singing because he'd always been into music. He loved the 80s music and songs in his church choir. My father had been in plays, sang in musicals, and sings in the church choir, and he always loved doing all of those things. He loved to sing with his friends and family at the wine club. Tying back to that, he always would do that there just to put a joy right on their face. My father was an extremely happy man and always wanted to look his best in front of friends and family. But what people didn't see behind his amazing and bubbly personality was his struggles. During my father's life, he had 3 major struggles. He had to deal with the death of his sister, and then leading on to that, he had to struggle with depression and anxiety. My father dealt with serious problems in his life and took a lot of the life from him. They were difficult obstacles, and they were very difficult for him to face on a day-to-day basis. One of them being the death of his sister. Like anyone else would be, my dad was extremely affected by the death of his sister and carried that grief with him for the rest of his life. The death affected my father and my father's parents greatly, and they were not the same after her death. However, even though he dealt with the pain and the grief, he never took away from being such a great father to me and my sister. His 2 other things that he struggled with were depression and anxiety. After his sister's death, my dad had recently gone under those 2 things, and he carried them also for the rest of his life, making a very tough obstacle for him to deal with. The depression changed his anxiety, but made him a much more soft and sensitive person, which technically is not a bad thing. He was a very sweet guy. He struggled, but it did not cripple him from being the best dad in the world. He could not have done anything better, and I could not have asked for anyone who could have done his job better than he could have. In conclusion, my father was a great man and an even better dad. I could not have asked someone to be a better father. While my father is gone now, qualities of himself, as we all know, such as his unconditional love for his family, his humorous personality, and his strength from his struggles, still carry with us today and remind us of the man that he was. Like everything in the world, this speech must come to an end. One thing that doesn't have to come to an end is a love for my father. While we mourn his passing, I also believe that we should smile at the life he lived. If we smile at the life that he lived, I know that he will be up there smiling at us. Thank you.